All right, so welcome to Reframe Yourself. My name is Todd Pierce, and I have to say I am really excited to be able to present this series to you. Now, look, over the years, I've been thinking to myself, how can I take the things that I've learned in a personal experience kind of way, but also in a coaching setting, working one-on-one and in a group setting with people, and take this and translate it into something that people can access whenever they want, something that's in short, bite-sized little chunks that gives people actionable steps that they can actually use right away. And I was mowing the lawn the other day, and lo and behold, I had the idea of creating a video series. So thank you for tuning in. Now, look, this episode is called The Overarching Frame. It's the first episode in this series, and I'm really excited to get into it. But look, before we do, I have to say that we are in an interesting time right now. And what I mean is, I feel like there are a lot of people, and once again, this is a general observation from working with clients, but also just looking out into the world. We've got a lot of people that are dissatisfied. We've got people that are working in jobs they don't like. We've got people that don't know what they want to do. We've got startling numbers of different mental health issues. In fact, they did a global study and found that roughly 350 million people are living with and suffering from depression. Now, look, if you take that further down the rabbit hole, what do you have? If people aren't recovering from depression, they're not getting the help that they need, then the next thing that happens is you've got a lot of people that are committing suicide. In fact, it's quite sad that roughly 800,000 people commit suicide every single year. And that's a worldwide statistic. Gosh, it happens to be the leading killer of people aged 15 to 29. So it's a real problem, and the dissatisfaction isn't just there. Like I said it before, like the workforce. Gallup did a study, I think it's called the Global State of the Global Workforce, and they found that 63% of people in jobs are not engaged. Now, all that means is that they're not motivated, they're not driven, they've got no passion, they're just rocking up, they're going through the motions. Now, I don't know if that's you. Like that may be, it may be not. Now, go beyond that, and they found that a further 24% of people are actively disengaged. Now, what that means is that they're actually going against the objectives of the business, against the goals of the business. And look, if you're a business owner or if you're a manager, that's bad news. Full stop. So we've got these problems, and you have to think to yourself, now how does somebody psychologically get to the stage where they're actively engaged in the workforce? And look, I've got my own thoughts and my own theories, my own opinions, which everybody does. But you know, if we take a look at how we've grown up and been conditioned, it all stems from there. And that kind of leads us to the premise of this episode, you know, the overarching frame. So what is the overarching frame? The overarching frame, I believe, is that we are growing up in a world where we are, unfortunately, got everything happening very fast. What I mean is I can walk over to the light right now and I can turn it off and I can turn it straight back on and it's instant. As a result, we've got a lot of people that expect things very fast. This also breeds a kind of person that dabbles. You've probably heard this before if you're in the self-development stuff like that, but people do. They get in, they give it a go for a little bit, they don't commit properly, they never give 100%, and then they move on to the next thing. And it just fills people with, I guess, doubt about their own ability when they don't achieve things. But also, you know, they're not actually finding what their passions are. So we've got a lot of people that just don't even know enough about themselves to know what they want to do and what drives them. So I feel like this is the overarching frame. And that is that we grow up and we don't learn the right ways to think, the right ways to feel, the right ways to behave. And as a result, we feel like the world is happening to us and we've got no control. So I feel like that's the overarching frame. We're living with impoverished worldviews. See, the way that you view things, your point of view, dictates the actions that you take, the things that you do, the way that you behave, the way that you relate to your friends, family, your partners, your work colleagues. Everything comes down to how you view the world. And this is the overarching frame. So look, let's get into this episode because I want to cover a couple of things and I guess give a couple of tips so that you can use to really, I guess, take your worldview or take your point of view and expand it. You know, when I do coaching, a big part of helping someone make a transformation or whatever it might be is expanding what they perceive to be possible, what they think they can and can't do, and it's expanding and enriching the frame. So what I want to do is hopefully give you some tips and tricks to expand your overarching frame, which is your point of view. So let's get into it. All right, so the overarching frame, I feel, is that you've got a load of people that have got a limited model of the world. They've got an impoverished and poor model of the world. And that doesn't mean money. That means that their point of view, their outlook, their values, what they've learned as they've grown up, how they've been conditioned, is not necessarily empowering. We have got a lot of learned behaviors. And unfortunately, some of our learned behaviors definitely set us back in life. And I'm talking about behaviors in relationships, I mean with your business, I mean absolutely every area of life that we have. So I call this the overarching frame because I feel like it is so damn important to be able to reclaim and take back possession of our point of view. See, what we do unconsciously is often what breaks us and holds us back the most. So I believe that self-awareness is so important, and it is the absolute cornerstone of this episode right now, which is about becoming aware of self. Now, I've seen so many people make massive transformations in their life. I've coached with people that have done amazing things, from what you would think is a completely hopeless case to just, completely transforming their life and doing amazing things. Even myself, like I've been that kid that has been outcast as a youth because I was diagnosed with ADHD and I was on uppers and downers and I was fucked up. I was like a zombie. And, I've also been in a freaking jail cell twice. First time for drugs and all that stupid stuff. I was addicted to crystal meth. I was in violent groups. And the second time I was sitting in a jail cell facing 25 years, a life sentence for something I didn't do. I hated everyone. I hated the world. Can you begin to step into my shoes and imagine what it would feel like to be sitting in a jail cell for something you didn't do, having a friend brutally betray you? I hated everything and I hated the world. That was my point of view. That was my frame. That was the dominant thought, that people can't be trusted, that everyone's always going to do something to hurt you. And my defenses were up. I was cold. I was heartless because I didn't want to be hurt. Now, a lot of people are like this, and these are things that I'd learned. These were learned behaviors. What's interesting, and the reason why I tell you this isn't to, have people feeling sorry for me, because this is part of my life. This has made me who I am. And I'm proud of the path that I've walked, even though it's been dark. I tell you because I've made about 3 that I can count, big transformations, from when I completely stopped drugs and that was it was done, to not being a raging alcoholic that was violent and angry and hating the world, to becoming somebody that is business orientated. So 3 massive shifts. If you told me back when I was 17 that I'd be sitting here right now talking to you on this video series, I would have probably punched you in the face and went and drunk a bottle of vodka and been a douchebag, which I was more often than not, unfortunately. But I'm telling you this because I've transformed myself, and I've seen so many people do the same. But it all comes down to that self-awareness. Your model of the world, which consists of your values, which consists of your beliefs, which, consist of your attitudes towards people, places, and things. When we start to uncover the things that are unconscious about ourselves, we really then begin to have a lot of power to change. See, you can't change what you don't know. As soon as we start to learn and become aware of things that we do and why we do them, the power is now in our court. See, a lot of people are going through life and they feel powerless, which is the reason why there are a lot of people that are stressed. Think about stress. Stress is a massive issue. It's something that costs businesses multiple billions of dollars a year in lost productivity. It is also something that if you do it long enough, actually completely impacts negatively the construct of your brain, all the way down to your amygdala and the fibers that connect to it. It makes them thinner, which means you feel stressed and fearful faster. This is a big thing too, but it comes down to our points of view. Do you feel like you've got control, or do you feel like things are out of control? Do you feel powerlessness? Do you feel a sense of no power or control? So these are big issues, and I think it comes down to that whole frame of self-awareness. So becoming more aware about the things that drive us, becoming more aware about why we do what we do. And once again, I'm going to reflect on myself a lot through these episodes. So bear with me. I'm not doing it to kind of be an ego thing. It's because I've fucked up a lot and I've been a stupid person so many times. I can't even count how many times I've done stupid things. So I've got a lot of learnings, and I'm going to share them with you, and hopefully I can impart some, lessons and guidance on certain things, depending where you're at in your stage of your life. And What I just noticed though is that as my clients develop the self-awareness about, why they're doing the things that they're doing, how they're doing it, what they're getting from it, what they're gaining from it, they then had the power to change. See, once again, I said it before, you can't change what you don't know. So if you're right now in a situation where, for example, let's use work, you're not passionate, you don't enjoy what you're doing. If you don't know what you want to do, then how can you start to move towards something that's more inspiring or motivating or is aligned with your values? You have to know what your values are before you can actually align yourself with them, right? So what I want to quickly give you just to kind of wrap up this episode, and once again, these aren't going to be long episodes. My goal is to just give you short little chunks of information that are relevant, that are easy to take, and then give you a couple of questions and exercises that you can use to hopefully make some changes. So what I want you to do is to start to get aware of yourself. Like if you're doing things right now that are maybe not in alignment with who you want to be, then you need to get clear on what you're getting from it. For example, let me give you an example. If you're eating, okay, say you got a health goal and you're eating a lot of shitty foods and you're just doing it. What's happening is you're trying to change your emotional state. So as we become aware and we realize, okay, so I'm getting a state change right now, which is the reason why I'm eating. I want to change my emotional state. When you have the sugars and stuff like that, it changes your biochemistry. As a result, you feel different. And unfortunately, what happens is this stacks up and we get this learned behavior. We then do it again and again and again. It becomes comfortable. In fact, you develop certainty about the fact that if you eat, you're going to feel better. And we want to feel better instead of feeling worse. Therefore, you've got a negative loop. So what I want you to do is go ahead and start to question yourself. Literally, become reflective, because you are going to be cursed to continue doing what you're doing until you identify who the hell you are. So let's do this. Think about this. Who do you want to be as a person, as a man, as a female, whichever you are? What do you want to have in life? Where do you want to go? What kind of people do you want around you? Take these questions and contextualize them more. Think about relationships. So relationships are a really important thing. What kind of relationship do you want? Do you want a relationship at all? Everybody's different. Think about the kind of partner that you want. What kind of attitudes do they have? What kind of beliefs would they have? What do they do? Do you share similar interests or do you like complete opposites? Complete opposites can be exciting, but Jesus Christ, you can have an explosive relationship that may or may not last. But you need to be aware, what's important to you in life? What do you value? What are your beliefs about others? What's your beliefs about yourself? Do you believe you can do anything you want, or do you think that you're quite limited? Do you feel like you always need somebody to help you, or do you think you can do something yourself? Our beliefs, our needs, and our values are massive drivers in our life. In fact, they govern almost everything that we do. So take this and just take this little nugget and let yourself start to become aware. Question yourself. Think about, who you want to be, where you want to go, what you want to have. Who do you want to have it with? And as you begin to get clear, the good things will start to come, because once we get that clarity, as I said before, we can then start to make choices that are in line with what we want. So look, anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this one here. The next episode is going to be something a little bit more in depth. This was just a bit of a introductory kind of thing. The next episode, we're going to dig into the biggest transformation you can ever make, which is a massive mindset shift. I'm going to teach you the thing that when clients get this one thing, they can go out and they can change their life themselves. It is the biggest factor in somebody making a transformation in every single area of their life. So the next episode, we're going to dive into that, and I'm going to teach you how to take control of this thing here, and I'm going to help you install a massively empowering belief about yourself, about the world, about everything. So anyway, this is Todd Pierce. Thank you so much for tuning into this first episode. I will see you next time.